What's up, everybody? I am here today with Chylese. She is part owner and broker at Inhabit Real Estate. Last week, she taught a really awesome class on Realtor financial planning. So the first thing that you talked about with us last week was to make a plan for yourself. And the first thing that you said was to pay yourself on a schedule.
Well, first of all, when you're starting out as a realtor, I do recommend that right out of the gate, even if you don't have a lot of money set aside for your business, your new business, that you open up a separate checking account. I recommend that you file your LLC or independent company status, even if it's just Joe Smith LLC. That protects you with liability. At the same time, it identifies that checking account as a business checking account. Pay yourself a certain amount of money. If you can live with $3,000 or $4,000, most of us, when we get real estate checks, they're for more money than that. If you get a check for $8,000 or $12,000, that's a lot of money, and you think, oh, I have all this money and now I can go to New York for the weekend or buy a boat.
Yeah.
Pay yourself what you need to live on, and hold the rest of the money in that checking account because you're going to need it for taxes. You're going to need it for expenses. Doing that and keeping it separate will keep you honest. It will make you feel more secure, and I think less nervous when you go out on a listing appointment.
Yeah, it takes that pressure off.
It does.
For sure.
You feel more confident and more prepared.
So let's talk a little bit about, we kind of touched on some of the effective tax planning strategies, like making sure that you're saving X amount of everything that comes in for taxes, because that's going to happen. And also, making sure that you know your expenses and that you're tracking your expenses.
Yeah, identifying what those are. For those of us that have been in the business a long time, I can list out most of what my expenses are going to be, all the categories, in 10 minutes or less, because they're the same every year. If you're tracking your expenses, that'll also give you a great idea of what to expect when the taxes are due and how much you can write off. And instead of worrying about it until, it's mid-March and I still haven't sent it in to my CPA. And on that note, have a CPA. Interview a few of them, get recommendations from other realtors meet with them in May or October when they're not that busy.
Well, and that's the great thing about them, is that if you have a good one, they'll give you a mid-year review for free as part of your overall fee. The tax accountant that I use, I meet with him in October and I'm like, I have a pretty good idea of how this year is going to turn out. So let's try to figure out what the damage is going to be now, while I still have some time to actually do something about it.
Part of your tax burden comes from your ability to leverage some of your expenses and fund a retirement account.
There are some great ways that a self-employed person can save for retirement, and
there are. There are.
So that kind of leads me to this part, which I thought was most impactful for me, the wealth building strategies for the self-employed. I'd love for you to touch on a couple of these ideas.
If you are someone that wouldn't mind having a rental property and seeing yourself as a landlord that is going to be hands-on, maybe you're handy, or you just like the idea of having that long-term investment because you feel pretty good about the long-term prospects for the area that you're working. Many realtors have told me that over time, when the selling market has softened, the rental market is something they can count on. When sales prices dip, rents generally go up. And so that helps when you're not selling as many houses as you were 2 years ago. As a self-employed person, you can also get an IRA that is an SEP, or a self-employed person's IRA. A CPA would be able to tell you, okay, if you're making this much money a year, here's how much you can put into that SEP IRA and not have to pay taxes on that income. If you're trying to put obviously as much money as you can, or you have a minimum you're trying to hit, and it's $10,000, for example, it would be good to put $2,000 in there quarterly, so that when next April comes along, you only need another $2,000 and you're done. I guess the other thing I would consider as a long-term investment strategy would be make sure that you're You're cataloging your database, not just of prospects, but of clients, and where you met them, and
Yes.
how you got them. In a nutshell, it's really important because someday, if you do well as a realtor, you will want to sell your business. You'll have somebody that wants to purchase your business from you because you're going to retire. Your business will have a value, just like a grocery store, right? Or a major corporation. You can get an appraisal on your real estate business, and I think that's a really good idea once you've been in the business for 5 years.
Well, this has been awesome. I'm gonna link to a bunch of stuff in the show notes. If you have any questions for me or for Chylese, you can leave them in the comments. And otherwise, thank you so much
You're very welcome.
for giving us some time.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I appreciate it. And we will catch you kids later.